Hello, everybody. I'm doing the Leetcode Weekly Contest 161. There's about 20 seconds left. Wish me luck. Excited. Finally found the time on a Saturday to kind of do it. Yeah. And if you're watching it in the future, you could probably fast forward some of this, but have fun. Yeah. And as usual, good luck, have fun. Is that what people say? And as usual, you're watching in the YouTubes. On the description there'll be links linking to each poem. But yeah, this time I didn't do so well, which he'll talk about it in a little bit. But and most of it stems from this first poem. Right now I'm just reading through it. I was like, wow, this poem is surprisingly hard. Also, I ran into some issues, technical difficulty, which you'll see in a little bit. But yeah, I'm not gonna describe the entire thing. Mostly because it was 40 minutes long, so I don't know what I was thinking about for 40 minutes. Um, but but yeah, but right now I'm just reading the poem and then kind of I mean, it's an easy, or at least as great as an easy. So I was trying to think if there's any clever things I could have done to kind of really understand what does it mean to be a swap. Um, yeah, and but the big point that I messed up here was I missed the first line where oh, I actually missed the. I'm actually reading it now, and I missed another part where they're the equal length. I actually didn't realize they were equal length, so I actually checked it as well, which is, I guess, a waste of time a little bit. But anyway, yeah, and but I also missed the part where they're only x and y's. So I thought, I don't know what I thought, but I was trying to solve a more general version of this problem, which, and kind of disastrously, as I spent a long time, and hopefully you'll fast forward. I'm going to talk through my first couple of minutes, um, and then there'll be annotations or links below for you to kind of get to the next, um, yeah, the next problem, because you know it's not it. Like I was struggling on this one though. But yeah, I because I missed the fact that it's only x and y. You'll see me like uh, kind of do it uh, uh, um, like generically and try to like slowly break down the pieces, right? And at this point, I'm about 2 minutes in, which is a long time to try to not know how to solve a Yeezy, I think. Um, at least generally. I mean, this is a harder Yeezy, so I don't mean to like be, but it's just that when you're doing competitive programming, you have like a mental clock, and you're like, well, it's gonna be a little bit of a rough day if you don't have any idea how to do the first problem. Um, like almost immediately, because Yeezys are generally meant to be done like really quickly, right? But that said, the only reason why this is a little tricky for me, it's not the only reason, but one of the good reasons why it's a little tricky for me is because, like I said, I missed the X and the Y, so I thought it could be any, just a regular string, right? So I had to keep track of a lot of stuff. Um, I mean, I don't think it's impossible. It's just might have to do some maths. Uh, maybe actually is a little bit computational harder. I just wasn't, but I wasn't able to figure it out in the first long time. So now I'm just like, okay, I checked one of the user cases where, well, yeah, if you have or if you have odd number or whatever, you can really, yeah, you can really, so it's not a rotted string. So I kind of basically did that. Um, and again, here I assume that we had more than x and y. So if you look at it this way, it makes way more sense. Uh, I mean, not to say it's right. It's just that it made sense that I did it this way. Um, Also, haven't slept in a while, and only slept a couple of hours last night. So I blame it. That's my excuse. I'm sticking to it. I'm just kidding. I mean, but I do enjoy doing it, so it's fine. But maybe when you're not Yeah, but there is a thing to be said about like being mentally prepared, physically prepared, and even maybe like practice a little bit before just to like warm up, right? Which I did none of those things. I was just like, oh yeah, I did it. I did a contest this morning. I don't need any more, right? And here I just construct a lot of test cases, just to test the negative one case, and then uh, yeah, I wish that So I think I did not realize that S1 and S2 of you there. I didn't realize they have equal length because they it's not in the constraints. So technically, I don't know if it's. I mean, it would have been nice to be iterated. And also now I noticed that in the constraints, S1 S2 only contains X or Y, which I don't know. I think I think one important thing also, just like the mental state of kind of competitive programming, like getting into state. Some of that is just you miss things, right? Like if you look
It
at the
seems like
constraint, it tells you that.
some slowness issues.
Yeah, it tells you that it's only X and
Yeah,
Y, but
refresh.
I didn't see it, right? Uh, and now I'm having some connection issues. I try to refresh, it didn't see it, so I'm looking at the second problem. Uh, Here, I actually knew roughly immediately how to solve this. Um, be, though initially I thought it was subsequences, so that actually and not sub-arrays, meaning contiguous versus non-contiguous. So I definitely had some like, I was like, huh, do I have to do some crazy things? But then once I reread the problem, because I make that mistake a lot. Anyway, I guess I'll talk about that during that problem. Um, so and then now my connection is having slow, so that also add actually a couple of minutes. Um,
Oh, that's unfortunate.
yeah, that's unfortunate. Um, but yeah, basically I struggle on this problem for a little while, so or a long while. So I'm gonna cut back in. I mean, there'll be a link, but I'm gonna cut back in to when I figure it out. Maybe I should have refreshed. Oh well. There we go. Hmm. So okay, that's right. Mm.
count.
Well, that's probably not right.
Hard poem. Wow, this is a tricky one. I have no idea.
Oh, it's only X and Y. Oh, snaps. I actually missed that part. So yeah, so this about here, which is actually 17 minutes in, 16 minutes in, I realized that yeah, this is that there's only X and Y, so I didn't need to do all this crazy stuff. And then my thing there is like, okay, how do I want to structure this? I knew I kind of wanted to do. I knew that because now that there's only X and Y, in my head, I was thinking that okay, um, there are only like a number of cases, like edge cases to, or just branches of cases to handle. I didn't know how many at this point, but I knew that there were a set amount, right? So that's kind of how I um, thought about this problem at this point. And now I'm just typing out kind of a more hard coded, if you will, way of going about it. Um, and I, I think at this point, I think I was also like rushing a little bit, and as a result, I was just trying to like do the first thing that came to my mind, which it's not. I think I could have benefited a little bit more from kind of taking a real step back and like going over the underlying principles a little bit because I end up typing for a while and getting wrong results. Um, but so I start with like a quote unquote a base case where yeah hmm, yeah base case where they have where the two strings have the same amount of x1s and or x's and y's, so you're only swapping within itself kind of, but not really. And I was thinking about like, okay, if both strings have the same number of x and y's like within themselves, what does it mean? um, and I was really trying to break it down case by case with the way I was doing it. um, and later in the video later in the video I will actually talk about uh, other solutions and how to optimize it, but this is what I have, um, unfortunately, maybe. XY. Right now I'm working in my head like, okay, what am I doing, and what does it mean when things are different? And I was just like, man, I at this point I was very much struggling mentally. Maybe the fatigue kind of kicked in, but yeah. It is painful to watch, but but yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily. I mean, especially for a long problem, I don't always remember all my mental states through and struggles, and that's actually why I like. And I think doing this commentary actually is helpful in the sense that it makes me like really go through like the mistakes that I made, and hopefully like I'll learn to avoid them in the future. I think this one, I don't know how to assign a percentage, but a good percentage of this was um, I missed the XY thing in the beginning, so like I just got stuck in a weird loop for like I flew 15 minutes away, it seems like, and also and maybe a couple of those minutes I had internet issues as well, which was also very unfortunate. Um, yeah, but yeah, now I'm just like, okay, let's break it into two cases first, where one is with the x and the y's are the same, or the number of them are the same in both strings. What does it mean? And then kind of just walk through it very slowly, very slowly. If you If you're watching this in real time, then it'll be very slowly. But I was trying to do the math. I'm like, okay, and even just I was looking at the string itself to and try to visualize like, okay, what like what is it? I mean, I knew that this wasn't going to be correct. I would just want to see like, um, what are the inputs really? Um, and this just lets me visualize it a little bit using the compiler. Like, okay, there's 6 differences. What does that mean? And I would try to think about pairings at this point, I believe. But yeah, the core part of this problem essentially from here to the end is me breaking down a lot of cases step by step. Like
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Like for yeah, and I was just trying to visualize all the cases. And oh yeah, and you also I just noticed this now that in my test cases I used A and B because initially, I thought there would be A's and B's because I didn't think it would be just X and Y's. But I was like, okay, let me try to play around the form. And I think I should have like drawn it out on paper more, or like really understand what is the optimal way to swap these things. And I did do that eventually, but I still try to do too much. I think actually at this point I was, instead of like a pair matching type thing, because I think, and this gets to it in a little bit, where I kind of count the number of mismatches and then use pairs to the optimal way to do that. I was actually thinking of a way to like almost like sorting, where you use like a space as like a temporary space, and then you have to do like 2 swaps to kind of get in the right place to get it. And that's kind of that was kind of my strategy for, I don't know, I don't think it's right for more than just X and Y's for like a bigger alphabet. But and that thought kind of still stuck with me, and I was just trying to figure out like, yeah, visualize what it means to kind of have these pairs. And then in my mind I just break down each case more and more, and you'll kind of see that later. So but that's kind of my process during this period.
That makes sense.
Yeah, unfortunately this goes on for another I think 15 minutes, and I included incorrect submission, so I'm going to skip ahead personally. But feel free to stay and watch Larry struggle. Is always fun, right? There's 6 pairs. That's 3. Oh, there's 6 differences. 3 pairs. 3 pairs. positive. Just one pair, then two pairs. No, this math is terrible. Pairs. Else. Else. They're different. Couldn't even get that one right. But solvable. This is not my finest hour. Should be impossible. Now let's do another one. Is that right? Well, let's try it. There's a really annoying poem. Or maybe I'm just missing something obvious. So there's 4 differences. So this is the lopsided one. I assume that these 2 cancels out, and there's 2 now. Oh, these 2 cancel out, which is fine. And then now you have the same thing as before, but they're the same. Okay. Yeah, I got it, maybe. Okay. So let's say this is not the case. Then we can make this the case. The difference is this is 3, 1. So put 2 at a time. So okay. And otherwise, so now you have the same scenario as before. With the deltas. Man, I'm spending a lot of time on one thing, which is sad. How is this negative though? Because I can't do it this way. Actually, one is, let's say x1. Don't want to muck up this too much now, but the different than One, three, three, one. Okay, that's what I wanted, kind of. I think. Yeah, 3, 1, 1, 3. So then now it does one kind of one of them, and then one each. So 2 deltas to go. So it's just. Because now this condition should be true. So now, okay. This way. So 2, -1, 4, -1, -1, 2, 3, 3. Okay, let's try it. Right, I think at this point I finally fixed all the errors, and a long bad problem for me. These people already finished all of them, and I'm. Okay, let's catch up. But yeah, that was a long problem. Grind it out. The 40-minute problem is always a tough thing to start off when you have 3 problems left. But yeah, so problem 2 at this point. Yeah, I immediately know what I needed to do. I was actually debating between two different type of solutions. One is what's it called? Prefix sum or pre-sum. Yeah, prefix sum or something like that, where you just keep track of the counts of the first x x index to see how many elements there are. And the other is kind of what I end up doing, which is just like keeping track of the index numbers of all the odd numbers. So like a filter array of sorts. But both idea there is the same, which is, and I've actually seen this, and it's a little bit spoiler when I go over other people's solutions in the future, I actually saw both type of solutions. So I don't think either one is more tricky. It's just about like how you go about it. Here I take a sneak peek at the next problem. It's like, maybe I could do the next one, but I was like, yeah, it's okay. This one's easier. Oh, it should be doable. At this point, I was ranked 2,800. Ooh, yeep. Barely better than half. But yeah, here I just want to look at the constraints a little bit tighter, just to make sure. And I actually converted to Python. Don't remember why, actually, now that I think about it. Actually, now a little bit weird, now looking back. But yeah, I think at this point I settled on using a index array or an array of indexes. That is, I think so. Okay, yes. And of course, I'm using C++ fans in the room will notice that I'm using C++ index, and I get things on it. I mean, I'll get into compile error. Here, I just want to make sure that my idea is right, which, I mean, I kind of knew the idea immediately, which is, you know, so I mean, it's rolling window, so you basically, and the rolling window is just from, you keep track of k number of odd numbers, and then the number of things that are in the space on the left side and the space on the right side, you multiply them to get the number of, like, basically wiggle them into like that bounds the k number of things, and then you kind of just sum them all together, and that's what I did here. But unfortunately, as things always are, I struggled. I mean, people did it this way, the way that I'm doing it now, but I struggled a lot with the off by ones, and I came back to like, I took a long time because of off by ones essentially. Is what I'm saying, and I was like, "Oh, pushback. Of course, it's not. This is not C++, Larry. Silly Larry." I don't know. I think here I was just want to make sure that my I is in the right place. But I actually, and I saw a trick later that should have made it slightly easier, but I didn't. So I had like a lot of weird if statements and off, and like checking for off by ones, that if I had added sentinel values as kind of like the boundary conditions, then I would have gotten it right much earlier. But because I was doing it, and you'll see it over the next couple of minutes, which is
let's see,
which, yeah, I was like, I knew the idea, I just could not implement it very well, unfortunately. So like, boundary check. I mean, this is essentially like the formula that if I was a little bit smarter in how I code it up, I would have been done. And I would have been done in 6 minutes. So with much regret, I kind of added another 15 minutes as a result. And you see me try to handle the edge cases, and that did not go well as a result. And yeah, this keeps going on. It's kind of sad. I'm sad looking at it. But yeah, I just struggled with the off by ones. And like index out of a way. I mean, I think, and yeah, going back to my excuses now, but yeah, I think some of it is just, yeah, when you're not, optimal, stuff is a little tricky. Uh, yeah, and then I spend, I don't know how long, but the next good chunk of time trying to figure this one out. And I actually end up with a fairly verbose solution, which is definitely way more verbose than it should have been. And yeah, but there is something to be said about being like peaking mentally when you work on these things. Yeah, now I'm just debugging by printing stuff out and try to really understand where my off by one is. But try as I keep trying, but that shouldn't change things. And I'm just putting out like, like I want the answer to be 100. K is twice. Yeah. 4. 4 plus. Yeah, man. Watching this is kind of painful, to be honest. Because I mean, now knowing what I know how to fix the code a little bit, but I did not always know. So I definitely did not know what I knew. Man, English is hard. And yeah, maybe not quite yet, but I just couldn't figure it. I mean, I knew what I needed to do. I just struggling. Oh, and I just keep on looking at the example cases, but I was just like, it was very sad. Oh no, this should just be 1 if this is and no, it's just I don't know what it is. It's 3-6. Still couldn't get it right. Now I just added more test cases to see like what are my states of the world when I do it, but still couldn't get it. This is so frustrating to watch again, to be honest. I know that goes out of bounds. I'll try to fix that. But it's just my indexes were a little off. Two, so I should have skipped ahead. But I think I'm almost there. I thought I was almost there for a little bit, but yeah, I just could not get this to be right.
Oh, that's one. But
so
what's left it should not be.
And I think even at this point, I was debating just like doing it the stupid way, because I just couldn't figure out the the cases. The left is actually right, I think. The right is a little weird. But like I've, yeah,
The right should be.
that's just haven't. Yeah, still getting it out index. I think watching this, it's the most convincing proof I have about the power of sleep and how I need more. But at this point, I don't know why. I think I'm just like trying to like get the off by ones in a perfect way, so every like all the stars are aligned in a good way. But I just never could do it. So I think I give up soon. I mean, I don't give up on the problem. I give up on this way of how I was thinking. But still cannot figure this out. It's just one of those nights. Yeah, was not happy about this, obviously. But okay, so this is when I decided to do something dumber. Yeah, so this is about 56 minutes in, so or 57 minutes into the contest. We'll see how long this. And to be honest, even the way I coded this is a little not clean. And by that I mean like I could have done this in a way such that I had less if statements, if you will. I just ran a quick test to see if top left was the API. And then now I'm trying to figure out, like, given this is the bounding box, how do I get the index before and the index after and such. So I do play around with this a little bit. Because, yeah, at this point, I was like, oh, I need to keep track of some idea of, like, the last element we popped. But then I also have to remember that, like, oh, what if you have k elements, then nothing popped anyway. So then I have to add an if statement and make sure that, that the length away is k first. And if k is none, then we do, as you go to, this is actually a wrong value, but I didn't know that at the time. Turns out it's -1 for kind of a weird reason. I mean, just to keep track of things easier, but yeah, and then the right is kind of the same thing. Where we take the next number and then subtract it, but of course the next number could be out of bounds, so I have to check that. That was mostly right. So that actually only took 2 minutes and 30 seconds or so, maybe a little bit longer, but like less than 3 minutes to type. So I was like, oh no, it's still wrong. But fortunately, this is much closer to getting right. I printed out some states to try and see what's wrong. I was like, oh, 1 and 2, so I had it off by 1. But yeah, the thing is that this, even though it's essentially the same as what I did before algorithmically, it was just easier for me to figure things out. And yeah. And then I noticed that my x's are sometimes a little small on the first index always. So I just change the last value and then submit it. Okay, well, ran real quick just to see. I was like, oh, that's why it's off by 1. So I was like, do I do some thinking? But then I just end up changing the center no value. Ring looked good. To be honest, at this point, I'm still not confident about this submission. But I was so tired. You gotta understand.
Just very tired, to be honest.
Yeah, just so tired. There you go. So that was that problem. Here I'm looking at this one, and I was like, okay. I refreshed.
Half an hour to do it easy and hard. How hard can it be?
Yeah, I'm top 2000. Take a quick peek at the hard problem. I was about to to kind of skip this actually at this point. I'm like, this doesn't look super trivial. But I was like, wait, I think I do a wait. Do I? I was just like, is this doable? And I noticed the number 1, and then I don't know. I think I got. Sometimes you just go with your gut, and I think that's what I did on this problem. I think some of it is that like I knew a lot of people finished really quickly, like the top people finished in like, yeah. Here I look at like the finishing time for that problem, and it looked really quick, right? So I was like, it can be this easy, right? Can it? In the sense that I mean, I don't know if I have time to explain it in the live commentary because I submit this problem really quickly. That's the spoiler. But there'll be a link to kind of the later comment. I explained this problem a little bit later after the contest. So there'll be a link below as well. So check over for that. But just to go over my mental state, I was just like, can this really be right? Is it? No, I don't know. Is it that like you just, because essentially what you want is some subset of the numbers inside being relatively prime to each other would give you that result. But because you could really add more numbers to a set, and that would only make the GCD closer to 1, or so I just keep on doing that, and I mean that's essentially what I did, and then I submitted it very quickly, as you kind of see. I mean, I go over it a little bit more in detail later, but and some of that was my thought process was that I looked at the leaderboard, and it seemed like everyone did stuff very quickly. So that gave me like a little bit like it, like I'm, to be frank, I'm not 100% confident about this when I submitted this as well. But I was like, well, I didn't have much time left at this point. I have 25 minutes left in the contest. I'm submitting it. If it's wrong, then I'm not going to come back to this probably, or I have no time to come back to this probably, right? So I was like, okay, this is my Hail Mary, and then I actually spent an extra minute or like extra couple of seconds just to make sure that everything fits in int. And once I did that, I submitted, and I happened really quickly. I was like, I didn't even have time to be like, man, this is a silly problem, kind of for hard. But yeah, but that was very quickly, as you kind of saw. And I went back to this problem, parentheses problem. Right now, I'm just reading it like, because I think about at this point, I was well, looking at the contest in general, I was like, okay, that's not so bad.
The easy one, but not the hard one or something.
You know, like I made up a lot of ground on that hard problem being easy or easy to me. But I do want a little bit of issues here. I mean, I think the thing that for this one, it reminded me of another problem in the Leetcode where I remember the solution that I did was dynamic programming, and it was like some n-cube dynamic programming to figure out all the minimum valid parentheses. Though apparently, I think someone told me that you actually just do that for search, but that's another. But in any case, so that's what I was leaning towards. I was like, is there a easier thing? And then I actually settled on this. I was like, wait, do I actually even need the actual stack? Some of that is a callback to a problem that I also saw recently where I didn't actually need to keep track of the actual stack. So that's what I, so that's why I kind of did this way instead of just putting stuff on the stack, which later comes back to bite me, as you will see. I was like, okay, but how do I print the results? Or like, what do I do with the input that is in X and Y? And I'm just trying to think about how to handle it in general in all the cases together. Oh, I'm also trying to figure out like how to handle the case where you pop off too much, where the depth is not zero, it's less than zero. And I'm trying to figure out like where to handle it. And I handle it here. Still trying to be a little deliberate about it, but I think I was just a little slow in general, to be honest, because my mental state wasn't necessarily, at its peak today. Here is kind of the first mistake that I made, where I'm just like, okay, when we pop, we could actually, just print the string with no care, no well. And this was actually what I call a good enough solution. In this, it's not a solution, but it's close enough that gets you into trouble. Because I do some silly things later. I was like, oh, it looks, yeah. So I knew that if depth, I knew that we had depth left over, then we have to handle it. So yeah. But I thought that you could, at this time, I thought you could just greedily top off the top from the beginning, but I was proved wrong. So this is about 70 minutes in the contest, so that would have saved me about 15 minutes and a wrong solution. So a lot of these kind of timing adds up, right? Like, 5-10 minutes here on a silly mistake, and I just didn't think about it that much. Oh, and I was just looking up Python docs, I think, for index, to get the first index of the left thingy. This turns out to be a wrong way of handling it, by the way, so don't try this at home. And it cost me a submission to find that out. I think some of that was I was just really tired. But yeah, so this is how I would remove things step by step with each step, because I knew I had to remove that amount of verses. Oh, yeah, I just forgot to type. Oops. And this was good enough, so I submitted, I think, to get the wrong answer. Okay. Yeah. So here I was thinking, now I'm doubting myself a little bit, where I was like, well, is greedy good enough? Do I need some, I don't know, either backtracking or some sort of like DP or something like that? I think at some point, maybe even soonish, I look at the constraints again. I think it's 10 to the 5th or something like that. So you can't do anything n square, right? So that's, yeah, even now I think maybe that was a very quick thing. Look, and I was trying to figure out how to do a stack. I mean, like, I knew how to handle a stack, obviously, but I just didn't know how to incorporate things together. And I play around with this a lot, as you kind of see. I even, yeah, that thing I could delete. That's fine. Just try to figure out how to handle it. I went back and forth on this, actually. If you stay tuned a little bit,
like 18 minutes.
Okay. I was like, maybe I just don't even need that.
Should be doable for 18 minutes.
And I was trying to do actually like pop things off as we go, still, but I actually end up just keeping track of which of the parentheses are useful, and that takes me to the end. Yeah, that part is not great, but yeah, now I'm trying to like do some kind of weird popping thing, and I probably could have been okay. I just needed, I I think I just wasn't mentally ready for this because I think I could have done this okay. I need to do something reverse and something like that, but I was just like, but then I got to put the characters on a stack, which maybe would have been okay, but and I added a buffer, which I don't know why I did this buffer now that I think about it, but I just couldn't get it right because of various stack reasons. I think I just didn't get the right answer, and it wasn't even close to the thought I got. So like here, I'm trying to like, okay, just try to visualize the FSA in my head, the finite state automata in my head of like, well, these are the transitions.
Just do that one really fast.
And here I did the same thing where I looked at other people's time to be like, okay, this shouldn't be that hard. Like it's doable. It's just that I need to do it correctly. Oh man, I'm tired now even. I think at this point, I did it off window because I don't know, I just didn't connect in that. Just look at my solution for the other valid parentheses Leetcode question and kind of see what I did there. And I was like, well, this is actually not useful. I think is when I came to that conclusion. I'm just really trying to figure out what I'm doing. Almost seems like the stream is stuck. I don't know what I'm doing here. Just thinking about it. I think also around this time, maybe in a minute or so, I was just like, okay. I looked at the time. I was like, okay, I have 14 minutes left or 15 minutes left. Let's do this. Like I could do it. Right? Like the end goal is in sight. Like
Maybe
I'm capable of doing medium in 14 minutes. Right?
I mean, it sounds like a standard poem, to be honest.
I actually don't know how I came up with the. I mean, I could have kept doing it the way I was doing, but I just. Yeah, I mean, I didn't probably do my operations quite well. I needed to put the pop stuff into the stack, and I didn't do that. I was just. I think I was mixing a couple of different way of thinking about it. That's why. Oh yeah, I just reworded it, but then I was like, I couldn't find, like, did not reword it, but yeah. I was like, I was just really thinking of different ways to print them out in the correct order, even though I had like the core part of this correctly. I think, I don't know, did I do this yet? Well, yeah, I knew that wasn't going to be a thing. Oh yeah, and I was playing around with the idea that when I pop, maybe I pop with this. And then
Direction.
but yeah, the answers were just really well, right? So, I mean, it was right for the last one, but it wasn't right at all in general. So
It's not a real answer though. I was hoping.
yeah, I mean, it was hope, but hope is not a strategy. I think I try another thing where I play around the buffer. But the thing that I didn't do is that I need to keep track of buffer and put it back into the stack. But and this strategy also, unsurprisingly, did not work. I think I've definitely solved this problem before though.
Still not right.
In
I
some
don't even
way.
know how we got this thing though.
Look at that, Larry. Very sad. Still wrong answer. So I was like, I don't think I could have
track of the
price that this matches. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I was like, okay, maybe I could just keep track of. Like, I was finally figuring out that I need to match the left and the right parens. I just didn't know how to match it, and then now I'm like, okay, maybe I just need to keep track of the. When I pop, then, you know, keep track of it. Easier said than done. Well, not for other people, but for me. I'm like, okay, what actually happens during a pop? I went back and forth on this a few times on this problem. Just really not confident about this. I think I checked the leaderboard just to kind of give myself that maybe it's okay if I didn't finish it, but which is not a good strategy. But I was very tired today. I mean, both the contests I actually like went all the way up to the last minute, so. And I wanted to reword, I guess. Oh yeah, I wanted to revert to what I did before, but then I was like, oh, I forgot to copy and paste from the old one, so that also burned a few minutes. I think one thing to note with these things is that it still seems like none of the problems I was having a lot of issues, you know, in the sense that like my final iteration of what I wanted to code, once I got it going, like it was done very quickly, like a couple minutes, less than 10. I mean, obviously, like you can't do the math that way in the sense that, like, you know, you investigated the problem a lot through your incorrect answers and incorrect approaches. But like conceptually, like I could have gotten it quicker in the sense that like the coding is not insurmountable to do once I, you know, had the algorithm down. I just didn't have the algorithm down. So that is kind of at least some solace. And this is the code that I submitted incorrectly. I just want to see what would the go answer be for the extra case that I added. Which I think is right actually. Now it's just going through the states a little bit in my head. Like, why does that get removed?
I think that was a bit n square, so.
I think here, like, I started on the news, like, okay, I have to keep track of the stack, and I it's kind of mind-boggling a little bit in that I mean, I already did this, but I do it again. So, but note that we're about an hour 23 minutes in. Don't know why I did that. I was like, wait, that's not right. Still try to think about what I was wanting to do here. Also, this is actually now I only noticed this now for the first time, which is luckily it doesn't break anything else because I reused the X here unintentionally. Like I forgot that I had used X in the earlier thing. But yeah, now I'm just like, okay, then we could add both of them to the scene array, just to mark that we matched the left and the right, and yeah, and I'm just thinking about that. Well, that doesn't make sense. I was just thinking about how to print it out, which is a simple for loop, and that's pretty much it. As I mentioned, I mean, I need to fix that typo, but as I mentioned before, like I have most of the code, and it was just like a minute away from fixing it multiple times. So yeah, I mean, I think that's all I have. Well, I mean, that's all I have for the live commentary. I think I go over this problem and other problems later. Check out the links below to kind of go to them very quickly. But that's pretty much it. I mean, I think I have to fix the typo, but yeah, cool. Thanks. I mean, I'm going to stay online just to watch my reaction, just in case I have extra comments. But essentially, I'm okay. And then I submit. Whew. Once again, 2 days in a row, up to the last minute. Though this one was definitely should have done it faster. I mean, I'm barely cracking the top 10%. Actually not cracking the top 10%, and not going to. I mean, the short story is I spent so much. I misread the first one. Okay, well. Oh, I guess it just didn't update. Okay, well, top 10, top 500, yay! Not really, but this was a joke. But yeah, I didn't take 40 minutes on the first one. Though people do have issues with it, it seems like. But yeah, okay. Well, let's go over the problems real quick. Okay, so the easy or the first problem, I think it is just a very so the thing that I did incorrectly was that, or I just kind of I tried to read too fast on this problem. That was my problem. Um, the X and Y was just too like I missed the part where it only contains X and Y. So I was trying to solve a more general case, which was really tricky. But once I got that, um, it's all about kind of uh, yeah. I didn't actually even need this at this point, but yeah, after that, it's just about not being lazy, which is a commentary on myself because I was trying to figure out like if there was a clever way to solve this problem. But you just have to kind of simulate a little bit and brute force the different edge cases and literally just sit down on pen and paper and just go through each case. And I really did not do that. I was trying to think like, hey, maybe there's something clever with formula and stuff like this. And this made this code like 80 lines when it really should be I could cut all a lot of these down. I could cut this down, um, and I count again because I didn't count it right the first time, I guess. So I actually could have cut this down too. So the code should be half of the size it is, and maybe if I use array and something even more efficient in terms of coding, then it could have gone this much faster. But stumped by the easy, which happens from time to time, but still a little sad. Okay. Count numbers of nice subway. Yeah, I mean, I think I knew how to do this immediately. How long did I take? About 20 minutes, so not too fast, but not. I think, I mean, if you saw me code, which you'll probably see a live commentary of it. Um, I was trying to, I mean, I think I got core of the code, most of the code very quickly. I just had a lot of issues with just off by ones, and then I mean, I knew it was a rolling window, but so I was trying to be smart about like, hey, try to keep track of the left and the right. But as you kind of see, I kind of gave up and just kind of used an actual way to store the rolling window, and then that will allow me to kind of do the math a little bit easier. I mean, I think the coding is still conceptually, to be honest, the same. It's just that I had a lot of run-ins with off by ones, and that kind of took as a result 22 minutes, which is not like I'm not happy about it. It's not a good result, but it's not a poor result. If I could make it up in other in the other problems, and it seems like this problem is a little bit on the. I mean, it's okay. I don't know. It's a little bit not too. Well, I mean, fewer than 4 minutes. I can't come. I shouldn't. I gotta stop comparing myself with the really good people, though. But I mean, though that's where I ultimately want to be. So, but yeah. So that's the thing there. And then it's just about like, okay, you have a rolling window. The number of count is just like the spaces you can move to the left times the spaces you can move to the right. So I knew that right off the bat, but I just had implementation issues. Huh? Maybe they'll have it. So yeah, I don't know. Let me take a note real quick. Minimum we move to rounded parentheses. I actually end up taking 23 minutes or 21 minutes. Again, I could have done this faster. Yeah, I mean, I just didn't. It took me a little bit to kind of come up this way, which I'm happy about. Yeah, I had a wrong submit, but that's fine. Yeah, so basically it's just keeping track of states in a stack. I didn't know how to remove the extras open paren, and that cost me, I don't know how long. I think about 20 minutes total, about like 15 minutes in real time and 5 minutes for submission. So I did it in like a wonky way, and I kind of knew it at the time, but I was trying to like maybe squeeze it in. So 20 minutes would have probably gave me like 100 more ranks, but it is what it is. But yeah, but after that, after I just kind of keep track of the good pairings, I just add them only if we know them to be good, and that was good enough. To be honest, I wasn't sure what wasn't confident about it. It worked for the test cases, but I wasn't confident. And if it would have been wrong, I don't know what else I could have done, because this is essentially greedy, right? Um, Greedy with some, trace. But so if it didn't work, I would be like, well, I guess that didn't work. So let's, but basically we just find matches by using a stack. Yeah. Okay. And the last one, I don't know what this one was going for. So I definitely cheated a little bit in the sense that, I at this point, um, I took 40 minutes on the first one and 1 hour on the second one. So by the time I looked at the third one, I was able to see that, I mean, again, not to compare myself with really good people, but one is that everyone finished already. But also, yeah, people were solving in like a minute or 2 minutes. I mean, yeah, like people were solving it really, really fast, I guess is the question. So that gave me the confidence to be like, maybe it's just something really dumb that I didn't realize. Like maybe it's just like coding wise, something like really straightforward, right? And I gambled on it a bit. Don't, I mean, to some degree, this is the definition of GCD. Uh, so I think the part that, I mean, I think I'm, yeah, I mean, literally, that is the definition of GCD, like greatest common factor or denominator. So yeah, so that's that by definition. Um, and basically, if and this is also greedy in the sense that, it never hurts to add another number to the set. Meaning, even in this case, right? I mean, you can think of this as just 12 is. I mean, you can actually do this at 5 and 12 even. I'm pretty sure. Well, I mean, just by definition of GCD, but yeah, but it never hurts to put everything in the GCD because it can only in so if a number is, yeah, so like if you add more numbers to it, the GCD will only go down and go toward one. So that's why I kind of did it with my photo. And in that sense, it's very greedy, or just regular greedy. I don't know if it's very greedy. But because of that, yeah, if all the numbers, if yeah, and we take the GCD of a set of numbers, it will tell you what the greatest common denominator is, and that if that number is one, that means the set of those numbers is relative prime, and the relative prime, this is literally the definition of this. I think the thing that they try to get you a little bit, uh, or I guess they're trying to be like, hey, look at me or whatever, um, is using negative numbers, but no, I mean, I like if you study the properties of kind of how that works, you could just you could just times -1 on something, and then, and that will let you get the answer. And yeah, and I think I took an extra second just because, I mean, my even taking 3 minutes to write, or 2 minutes and 30 seconds to write this, and I spent probably like 1 minute of it just like, it can't be this easy, can it, kind of thing. And like I said, the only thing that gave me confidence was literally like looking at other people's submission time, and they're like really, really fast. So I was like, okay, maybe it is. If it's not, then like I probably wasn't going to solve this problem, to be honest. And the only other thing that I double checked was that everything fits in int. With GCD, nothing really goes, like there's no multiplication or addition even. So I knew that it'll be fit in int as long as each number fits in int. Kind of, this one made me sad in the sense that, I mean, it's good that I solved it, but it's kind of a dubious hard problem on a contest. But I mean, it saved me some rank. Again, 506. I mean, I spent a long time on problem one. So yeah, okay. Let me take a look at other people's solutions and see what they did on, especially problem one. I'm curious. Okay. Okay. I mean, I think that people were just able to visualize this very easily. Um, I mean, I think this is actually closer than what I this XX. Oh, that's just equal. Actually, I like this solution a lot. Um, who wrote this one? Nope. I mean, maybe him or her too, but what did I click on? Oh, Leetcode is really good. But yeah, actually, I like the solution a lot. Like I said, I misread the problem and I didn't realize it was just X's and Y's. So that's cost me. I don't know. I have to go back to you know watch the live commentary. It took me a long time to figure that out. Once I figured that out, I was like, okay, I can actually just like enumerate the cases. And essentially, people with no trouble reading got that one quicker. Let's see. Okay, which one was two again? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's the rolling window one. I mean, yeah, I mean, like I said, that's what people did. Oh, okay, that's what I was debating doing actually. Uh, that would have solved a lot of my issues. Okay, you live and you learn. I just wasn't sure that I wasn't gonna do something weird, but then I guess you just do the for loop. I think that's the one time Python kind of. I mean, it's not Python's fault, but my mental model of using Python, I always have issues with X range. So I always have issues with off by one. But like I said, ultimately, I was slow, but it was manageable. A lot, like it was manageable amount of slowness if I could have gotten other things fast. Like if I'd gotten the first one in 10 minutes, instead, like what that's 30 minutes. I mean, it's still slow, but like it's respectable. But I was slow on three problems, which is not great, and only bailed out by the fact that the hard is easiest for me anyway. But yeah, so everyone just did the rolling window thing, I would imagine. Really smart. Oh, and just he just actually, yeah, okay. I mean, essentially did the same thing, but kept track of like a pre-calculated something. Same here with the. Okay, kind of cool. I mean, makes sense. None of it is a surprise. I like looking at laid curses because my usual suspects are not here actually. That I kind of. I mean, I don't know how they did. Okay. Yeah. Why this? Oh, they have people have like defined things to compile these into this, I suppose. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't think this was a hard problem. Oh, well, actually, he did it exactly the way I did. I would have probably saved like 15 minutes. So I think that's like some of it like save 5 minutes here, 10 minutes here, and it all adds up. Oh, we're doing 6 minutes. Let me. Okay, and this one, I mean, I think everyone did it the same. What the obfuscated code? But I mean, I like, yeah, everyone essentially did it the same way. I don't think anyone really like. I don't think there are any surprises on this farm, in the sense of what I already, at least for me, because I already know it. Excuse me. Yeah. Okay. I mean, overall, I think um, I think sometimes you know the best you can do is to keep grinding and to keep fighting. I definitely had a lot of struggles, and I mean, I spent 40 minutes on the easy and 45 if you want to count the penalty. So, and that is half the contest, right? Um, but yeah, I think the good takeaway is that I hustled, I kept on grinding, and I solved all four problems. It was a very tough one for me. I think it was actually a relatively easy set if I had thought about it correctly. I mean, I was just a little bit off on all three problems. Maybe I blame it on the lack of sleep. And I lack of sleep, and I've been up since then. But maybe I should practice a little bit before. But yeah, I think these are good practice. Like I definitely like if I like my ideal kind of mental tracking time for this would be maybe let's say I still struggle a little bit with these kind of like enumerate order cases ones because I'm not super confident about them, to be honest. But I would let's say even on the slow side, let's say I have 10 minutes, maybe 15 if I have if I have like an off by 1 hour type thing, or just like silly edge case mistake, which is way very something that I could see myself doing on this one. So I'm going to keep track. Um, Question two, yeah. I mean, this is definitely like looking at how other people do it. I'm going to learn from this. Because that's a good one. Nope, not this one. Super Superliminal. Yeah, this is beautiful, right? Um, so yeah, I mean, I think if I could have timed this up to like even 10 minutes, even if I was a little cautious, because not super fast. Uh, so this one, yeah, this one I have no excuse. Oh yeah. Well, let's say I want to be, and I only jumped ahead because I just want to see like if I have any chance of finishing this, because I would maybe have finished this before this one, but I should have finished both, and I did. But so let's say I did take 3 minutes, which I don't think I could do any faster, and I went back to do problem three. And I end up taking about 20 minutes plus penalty, so 25 minutes. I mean, this is really simple. And I got the core of the code. So let's say I done it a little bit smarter initially, and save 15 minutes and got in it in say 15 minutes directly. So I would have gotten it in 38 minutes plus penalty, 43 minutes. If I had done something like that, it's still not great, but because I could be faster, but at least I'll be like closer to like 120. I guess that's where I was in the morning. So I don't know. But yeah, so that's kind of how I thought about my poems. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully we'll do another contest. Thanks. Bye bye.